What is going on, everybody? It is a big, big night. It's almost like Christmas Eve to some of us who didn't have teams to watch on Thursday night or have teams to watch today for college football. But tonight, the NFL kicks off full circle. Everybody's playing their games. The Bills are playing their game against the Jets, if you even want to call it that. But I got a lot of guests tonight. So first and foremost, Mario Granata of #Sports. Mario, thanks for coming on. How's it going?
I can't wait for the chaos and mayhem to spill over tomorrow when the Buffalo Bills put a whooping on the New York Jets. That's all I'm saying.
Mookie Hawkins, the sports director of WUFO Sports Report. Mookie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. It was the night before the season when I went to the house.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Sean, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, doing good. Yeah, like everyone's saying, just a lot of anticipation, trying to get to bed, so get up early, and it's a Bills day tomorrow, man.
It is a Bills day from start to finish. You know, man, it's not even a Bills day. It's been a Bills weekend, all weekend. How could it not be when you're starting off your kickoff Sunday tomorrow with us? Because we've got a full docket for you tonight. We've got guests coming in throughout the show at various different times. Hey, maybe it'll be a surprise who comes. Though definitely Evan Lazar, the Patriots beat reporter for CSLN Media, and we'll also but big game tomorrow. There's a lot to talk about, but we definitely had some big news come out first thing today. Josh Norman has been placed on the injured reserve list for at least the next 3 weeks until he can be eligible for return. Mookie, what do you got to say about that first and foremost?
Well, I mean, it goes back to, what we talked about before they, came up with the 53-man roster. We were saying that this roster, a tremendous roster, we're going to really know how significant these injuries really are, with everyone. Now we're seeing the significance in Josh Norman's injury. At first, it didn't seem like, they just keeping him out for precautionary measures, but that's not the case. He was placed on IR, last minute, so, here we are, So he's going to sit out for at least 3 weeks, get fully healthy, and, guys like, you're going to see, they moved Cam Lewis up. You'll be proud of that. They was very high on, had a great training camp last year. Kind of duplicated it again this year. So, hey, next man up. He's getting an opportunity. Saran Neal has definitely blossomed this training camp, playing corner on the outside, something that the Bills was experimenting with last season with Saran Neal. So, I mean, the Bills are more than able in reference to getting the job done without Josh Norman. I mean, we have not even played a game, win, lose, draw with Josh Norman. So, same guys, next man up. We still have Levi Wallace. He's no stranger. He's been our starter last year. So, guys be ready to go to war tomorrow. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold can try to test him out if he wants to, but he only going to have 3.5 seconds, not 4.
Sean, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, man, same thing. I think we're in a blessed position to have Levi Wallace. Essentially was a starter all last year. Bringing Cam Lewis back up, the UD product. He had 2 great camps in a row, so we definitely have depth there. And I think another telling thing was that we made the other move was bringing a D tackle up. So there's an issue of maybe Butler may not be ready to play either. So he's questionable as of right now. But at the end of the day, I think this Bills team is the deepest team we've had in a long time, and I just don't see the Jets matching up well with us really on either side of the ball. So it's kind of nice that our first 2 weeks are against Jets and kind of an up and start Miami team, but hopefully by weeks 3 and 4 we're getting in some harder games. We'll be back at full strength.
Right, absolutely. It's the Bills definitely are. That's one of their deepest positions, in my opinion, is their cornerback room. Now, Mario, what are your thoughts about Josh Norman being inactivated for the next 3 weeks?
The only Josh that the Buffalo Bills can afford to put on IR right now is Norman. And with the new rules, coming forth this year, with COVID and everything else that's going on, you can IR designate certain players and bring them back up after 3 weeks. So it's one of those things that a lot of teams are going to be doing this with some of these injuries that are coming out. A lot of more I expect more teams to have injuries like this where they're going to have guys on IR for 3 weeks and then bring them back up again after about a month. So I'm fine with it because of the aforementioned points the two gentlemen made already. This is the deepest Bills team that I think we've ever seen post drought. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I have full 110% confidence in Levi Wallace to do what he needs to do. And plus, you still have those two maniacs back there patrolling the secondary in Hyde and Poyer for that. So I am not the whole Josh Norman going to IR. It is a surprise, but it's one of those things that the Bills already covered their bases with that.
Yeah, you touched on it, Mario, about how it's kind of smart to be doing this during the season. I talked about it with Mookie when we were talking about the 53-man roster last week, that we were really going to find out how severe some of these injuries are. And Sean kind of touched on it with Vernon Butler, kind of alluding to the fact that brought up that defensive tackle from the practice squad for this game because Vernon Butler's injury may be more severe than they had initially thought, and he may not be 100% and ready to go for the game tomorrow. But Josh Norman going to injured reserve, it's only a temporary problem, in my opinion, unless that injury lingers. But I'd rather see them put him on IR, deactivate him, allow him to regain his health. The Bills, they do have incredible depth at corner. They're not in a position where they need Josh Norman to play or Sam Darnold's about to light up the Bills' defense for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. No, they'll be okay with Levi Wallace. I'm eager to see how well Levi Wallace has improved from his problems that he had last season, because Levi Wallace, if he develops into a nice player for this team and he ends up being the cornerback 2 opposite Trey White until that contract runs out, then, hey, that's a good thing to happen. But we're not going to find out unless Levi Wallace is sent out there to play by himself without any kind of rotation. And I think this is an excellent opportunity these next 3 weeks for him to prove himself and show how much he may have improved over the offseason.
What about that? It is what it is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So that's why we doing the tailgate right now. You know what I mean? The feel of what's going on. You know what I mean? Hey, we can't tailgate at the stadium, so we're gonna bring the tailgate to we're gonna get this thing a little live and normal. But this is just the first week, so we're gonna be nice. We're gonna be nice today.
Got to ease it in, Mook. Got to ease it in.
Yeah, we're going to be nice. You know what I mean? We're going to be real nice. You know what I mean? I got my guy, Lazar, coming in. You know what I mean? New England, Patriots, the enemy. He's a beat reporter for those guys. He's going to be chiming in. So, we can, I guess, take it out on him a little bit, right?
Take it out on him.
But I'll take it out on my guy, E, for a minute. But, hey, hashtag sports, man. All in all, just give us your overall assessment of how you think training camp went for the Bills.
Well, it was shortened, obviously, by all the teams had shortened training camps, and with the amount of players, I think it worked to the Bills' advantage of having so many players that were familiar and in with the system last year. You talk about the offensive starters, defensive starters that you're going to have that are going to be coming back, the continuity that they're going to have, hopefully continuing on the momentum that they had last year with a 10-win season. Brian Daboll is going to be eating his Chex Mix up in the box, hopefully. And, he needs to just not be on the sideline because I think it just clutters everything up. But that being said, I know I'm kidding around, but the thing is this. You talk about teams that this defense, for a majority of the players on this defense, they have 32, 33 games under their belt together. So they're going to know a lot of things that are going on. You're going to have a Harrison Phillips back. You're going to have a lot of these other players that are back. I think they did the necessary things that they had to do during this camp and sharpen iron sharpens iron has always been the big thing that's been going on throughout this camp because they were so familiar with each other coming into the season. So some of these other teams that have a lot of new moving parts, they're going to have a lot of trouble coming out of the gate. So the Bills definitely have a decided advantage in what they did in camp, what they were able to accomplish in camp, and hopefully that carries over to the field tomorrow.
Absolutely. And Sean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think that you're going to see the big difference between a team like the Bills that are returning so many starters on both sides of the ball compared to a Jets team that, for the most part, they have a lot of new, pieces on both sides of the ball that they're trying to fit together in a shortened off season. That continuity is not there. And you hear they got a bunch of injuries, not to mention, their opt-outs that they had, and then the big trade with Adams, being shipped out of town. So it's going to be, I think, a much easier, especially early on in the season. You're going to see teams like the Bills that are, it's multiple years together in the same offense, with Daboll's offense. And I think you're going to see with the addition of Stephon Diggs, and I'm thinking we may even see our boy Gabe Davis make some big plays tomorrow. I think it's going to open up the offense quite a bit. And like I said, I don't think that the Jets have the horses to match up, especially if we're going to try to go into kind of a vertical passing attack, which I think we can, and get our boys running the ball as well with Singletary. So I think it's going to be really tough. But a team like the Bills that have that continuity coming back, we're going to be miles ahead of teams. I think it's going to allow us to stack some wins early in the season.
Yeah, stacking wins is definitely an important part of this first stage of the season. I think really the whole conversation we're having here about continuity and the uncertainty surrounding the season as a whole leading up to tomorrow, to kickoff. It's really all kind of played in favor of the Buffalo Bills. They have the same offense. They've had the same defense. They have the same quarterback and a majority of their same pieces in place. The issues that we saw last season because of the numerous pieces that they placed on offense and the numerous investments that they made to add pieces to their offense, there were some growing pains last year. And this is a season in which not only I don't think you can afford growing pains this season more than others. I think this is a season where it's going to be beneficial to the Bills having that many pieces coming back. Last year, you were talking about 9 of 11 new starters on offense. Now you're talking about this season, 9 of 11 of the same starters on offense. And the 2 spots where you're talking about 2 or 3 spots where you're talking about new players coming in, you're talking about Stephon Diggs or, hey, right tackle maybe. It depends on who they send out there. We're not really inclined or sure as to who they're going to start at right tackle as of yet. Or at least, reporters can't really release that information.
Right. Don't say anything.
That depth chart was amazing. That depth chart was amazing when they had 3 guys for right guard and right tackle. It was beautiful.
Beautiful. Jeremy Turner Montgomery chimes in with a fan question. Hold on a second. How many yards do you think Stephon Diggs will have in his Bills debut? Mario, I want to hear your prediction first.
80. I said 80. I put it in the chat on Facebook. I think he's going to have around 80. One of the 2 guys, like you said, that is not coming back into this offense. I mean, we heard about it last year with John Brown saying that this was one of the most complex offenses that he's ever played in. And this is a guy that played with Bruce Arians out in Arizona. So, trying to get his feet wet, I only say that, though, because I'm so interested in the Brian Poole Cole Beasley matchup in the slot, because I think that's one that's going to be very huge tomorrow. I think that one's going to be one to look for.
Right. Now, Sean?
Yeah, I think it's very possible that, we target Diggs a bunch, maybe on some deep shots. I definitely see him scoring a touchdown. Maybe he gets close to 100, maybe not, but I think he's definitely going to make his presence, felt, even if it's just taking a safety up over top and opening things up on the other side for John Brown. So it's going to be huge.
Mookie?
80, yeah. You know what? Hey, Mario, 80 yards. Hashtag 80 yards.
Yes.
Boy, you was very disrespectful. You think we didn't trade it out for Stephon Diggs for him to have 80 yards in his debut as a Bill? You really think? So that's 4 catches and 80 yards, because he averages about 20 yards a catch. So he's going to have 4 catches, 80 yards. This guy is going to be targeted anywhere between. He's going to 10 targets easy. 10 targets easy. Stephon Diggs is going to have a great day tomorrow. All right. Because it's what it is. He always have continuity. He has game experience. Josh has game experience with Beasley, John Brown. He needs to get that chemistry, that game speed chemistry with Stephon Diggs right away. So look at a lot of targets for Stephon Diggs, and he's going to have more than 80 yards. He's going to have over 100.
Oh yeah, believe me. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just saying that in the construct of the Brian Daboll offense and the EP system and how they run it, how it's on timing routes, underneath routes, the thing that Diggs is so crisp at doing. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but this is his first game within this offense. So I'm kind of being a little modest, and I didn't mean any disrespect to Mr. Diggs, but I hope he has 200. I'm thinking that it's going to be a little bit lower than a lot of people think. That's all.
Pierre Desir is going to hold Stephon Diggs to 80 yards.
I feel like
might get that
you're very offended
Pierre
with
Desir
I do apologize.
Stephon Diggs to 80 yards. This is what you're saying now. Pierre Desir is going to hold Steph Diggs to 80 yards. Yeah, we're going to do some dink and dunks, but guess what? We brought Stephon Diggs for the deep pass. So we're going to see that. All right, you're going to see the deep pass. They're going to have those nice dink and dunk passes that's going to, keep the sticks moving. But Brandon Beane went on to say that, basically he's tired of it. I'm tired of this. Let's get the big plays. It's hard to put together 10 to 12 play drives every single time the offense is out there.
True.
We need players with big playability. That's what we've been lacking. So you bring in that big player, we're not going to put him on the shelf and let him collect that, especially when we're playing $15 million this year. You believe you and me, Stephon Diggs is going to have a great day in his debut.
So that being said, with the big playmaker that Diggs is, what are you predicting for his season totals? Are you predicting like a 1,800 yard season then?
Nah, we ain't going goofy with it now.
I'm just messing around.
I can say that he's going to have over 125 targets on the season. I can go and say that much. He's going to have over 125 targets this season. He will have over 1,200 yards. And I think he's gonna have a great year. He's gonna have over 10 touchdowns in the receiving game. They're going to push the issue with this year, right? We're not going to let Stephon Diggs collect dust, get to know his teammates, and then want to throw in the ball next year. That's not how this works.
Right.
That's not how this works. With the weapons we got with these young studs in the backfield, watch. It's going to be a sight to see, and hopefully, Dable can put this thing together. He's been putting it together pretty well in training camp. Let's hope to translate over, when the game starts tomorrow. Because we definitely have some weapons. I like what I see and how he's moving the chess pieces around to make plays. And like I said, it's going to be real interesting to see how they're going to – it's just the run game, how they're going to hold that. We ain't even talking about, the guys that spread out on the perimeter. We just talking that – baby beast mode and then slippery when wet with your boy Singletary. We just gonna see how they handle that. Like your matchup is with the slot. My matchup is up front because Quentin Williams gave Mitch Morris all that he can handle last year. And I definitely want to see, round 2 of that. And of course they have Harry Anderson. They'll go up against, Quentin Spain and whoever's gonna be playing guard over there. My cousin gonna be playing right guard tomorrow.
Well, he's waiting in the wings. I'm sure he wants to chime in. Evan Lazar of CLNS Media, Patriots beat reporter. Evan, how you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Evan, what's good, my guy? How you doing?
How you doing, Mookie? I'm doing well.
Hey, man, look, I'm sorry things didn't work out with the Fournette deal, man. You almost had him. He used this as bait, right? He tried to use this. He tried to use Buffalo, man, for leverage, man. It didn't work. Tampa Bay gave him all that he wanted to get. Because you was right to the degree. You know what I mean? They used it for leverage. He ended up getting all that money that he lost from Jacksonville with incentive. So he was dead on with it. You know what I mean? He just used the wrong team, I guess, right?
I know. It was really another time that Tom Brady just kind of stuck it to the Patriots one last time. He hasn't done it enough this offseason, so he's got to go ahead and take Fournette from the Pats as well. But they were, both talking to him, the Patriots and obviously Tampa Bay, where he ended up. And I think with the Patriots, you guys remember the Pats used to have LeGarrette Blount here for a couple of different stints here with the Pats. And that was sort of the type of running back that I think that they were hoping that Fournette could be for them, that early down road grader. And unfortunately, he just kind of decided to stick with Tom and go back and go to Tampa, which I think was one last time where Belichick, like I said, lost a little bit of a war with Brady there, a little battle of the war, I guess I should say. But we'll see what happens. Obviously on paper, those Bucks look incredible. So we'll see what happens when it all comes together.
Now, Evan, from the outside looking in, because I don't honest to goodness, I don't hear many outside perspectives when it comes to those who cover other teams or root for other teams. Because to be quite honest, they aren't very pragmatic about the things they have to say. So being a Patriots beat reporter, what do you see in this Bills 2020 team? Did they do some things you like, do some things that you didn't like throughout the duration of this past offseason?
Well, I'm, the first one to tell you that this Bills defense over the last couple of years has given Brady and the Patriots offense all sorts of fits. Now, at times, it's obviously been with limited personnel for the Patriots on offense, certainly last year. But still, that scheme is kind of, it doesn't really change too much game to game, but the fact that those guys run it so well each and every single week, I think is extremely impressive and a testament to what they're building there with Sean McDermott on that side of the ball. On offense, I think, most people from the outside looking in, as you guys could probably imagine, it's really just the Josh Allen wild card. How much improvement can he have, and how many steps forward can he take? Obviously, he's got great people around him with Diggs and John Brown and all those playmakers around him. So the question really is can Josh Allen take that next step? I would say downfield ball placement, deep ball accuracy, things like that is probably that next kind of frontier for him, as well as, when you go up against Belichick as a young quarterback, he can spin the dial on you. It can get confusing for those guys. And we saw that down the stretch, obviously, in the second matchup, which was a really, really close game in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. And was that one last zero blitz that the Patriots ran on that very final play that kind of got the better of Allen. So that's not too, outlandish, obviously, for any quarterback going up against Belichick. I mean, Patrick Mahomes sometimes struggles with what Belichick throws at him schematically, defensively, especially in the front seven. So it's no surprise there at all that that's the case. But I think that the next step is for Allen is that mental side of things, but also the deep ball accuracy that can sometimes be hit or miss.
Right. And
all accuracy, right? Right, Mario? We just talked about that, right, Mario?
You didn't let me finish. I was going to say that the Bills are going to be up 28 at the half, then Diggs won't play the last two quarters, so he has 80 at the half. Speaking of stealing Fournette in Tampa, did Brady steal your wall decor, Evan? What the heck, man? Everything all right there?
Yeah, no, I just moved into this apartment, actually, so don't have much up on the walls yet, but we're working on it.
I got you, bro.
I feel that. There's some more empty walls in my newly acquired apartment as well. But the Patriots are meeting up with the Dolphins this week, and that's a matchup that I'm kind of intrigued to watch because you're really talking about two teams that are kind of going opposite trajectories. The Patriots, a lot of us like to assume that they're on their way downward after the 20 years of dominance. But I always say you never quite know with Bill Belichick and what he might pull with that defense. And now with Cam Newton, a player who he was an MVP player a couple years ago. And it's going to be interesting to see Ryan Fitzpatrick meet. Is Fitzpatrick starting for the Dolphins this week? Or is he still leaving that? Okay, so Fitzpatrick starting against the Dolphins or against the Patriots this week. And, personally, I don't think this affects the Bills a lot. I don't think that the outcome of this game is really going to affect the Bills a ton because in my world and in my imagination, I think that the Bills are going to be atop the AFC East, and what happens with these other three teams is really kind of going to be irrelevant. I think they're going to outrace this division, and they're going to single-handedly dominate this division. Now, Evan, with that being said, I want to know how you feel about how the landscape of the AFC East is going to play out in a whole.
Well, look, I think with the Patriots, it's always the Belichick wild card, right? And I think that they've really sort of kind of stumbled into Cam Newton, and it's turned out to be, at least so far, we'll see what it looks like when the games get underway here tomorrow, but so far it's been sort of, a match made in heaven. That's what Cam called it, and I think that what they're optimistic about is that with their personnel on offense, we know last year their offense certainly struggled for most of the season. I think that they looked at it and they said, okay, even if we bring Brady back, he's probably not going to be very successful throwing to Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry and all these guys that really are not yet there in terms of being big-time playmakers outside of Edelman. So I think that what they looked at and they saw that, really Cam has been a blessing in disguise, or maybe not even in disguise. They've looked into it, honestly, that they've turned out, what could have been Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer at quarterback to a former MVP, I think is good news for the Pats. And I think when you look at this whole thing and on paper, you look at the two rosters next to each other, you look at the rosters of the rest of the division, the Patriots feel like a 6-10, 7-9 type of football team. But then you obviously know that Bill Belichick is probably not going to coach a team that goes 6-10. So that's really kind of the thing that I think a lot of Patriot fans are holding on to. Things that we're kind of holding on to as beat reporters is, it just isn't realistic. Other than that first season in 2000 with the Patriots, where they went 5-11, Belichick has never had a losing season in New England. He's never had less than, I believe it's 9 wins in a season. Had that in 2002. it's been 10 wins every single year since then, at least. So I think it's really a question of how big of a drop off are they really getting at Cam Newton from Tom Brady? Obviously, the comfortability with the offense, the experience, the savvy, the knowledge, all those types of things that Brady brings to the table are, a little bit better than Cam, certainly. But I think in a way, having a mobile quarterback in this system might actually kind of help out some of the guys that were struggling last year. You don't need to be somebody that's this precise route runner that creates a ton of separation at the top of the route to necessarily succeed with somebody like Cam versus somebody like Brady who really thrives with receivers like that. So I understand where the optimism is coming from Buffalo, because I think that they do have the best team on paper. But I think the question really ultimately is what kind of things is Bill Belichick starting to throw at this division with this new look offense, with a couple of different pieces on defense changing, getting a little bit younger in the front seven? What can they do with that kind of formula? And by the time we get to November, December, hopefully January for New England, what does this team look like? Because I think tomorrow you're going to see one team, and then 3 months from now, I think that they're going to be at a different level.
So the Patriot way is gonna have a little bit of growing pains, you saying?
I think
they still, can still be in the sauce, because we all know Bill Belichick is, one of the greatest coaches that ever coached this game. All right, let's not even sugarcoat that. Nickname it, saute it, fricassee it. Right? It is what it is. But new look offense. What about this defense? You have some holes to fill in that defense, especially when you lose the captain in Hightower. So,
yeah.
Care to talk about that, because the defense really was the mainstay of New England last year. It was, number one defense last year. So how would that be duplicated with so many, holes to fill there? I mean, the back end is solid, but up front, you have some uncertainty with, some good rookies. But how do you think, that's going to fare out this year?
It's a great question, because they really got hit hard, not only with the offseason departures with guys like Van Noy and Jamie Collins going elsewhere, but then they got killed by the opt-outs too. You got guys like Hightower, Patrick Chung, they decide to opt out. So that's a big kind of, that was a big hole to fill, certainly with Hightower, especially in the middle of the defense, that physical presence at the second level, that ability to have somebody there that's a difference maker in the front seven just on his own. I think what you see with Belichick a lot with this front seven is they do take guys like a Van Noy or a Collins or some of these other players and pieces that they've had that individually might not be, Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber players. They don't have a Von Miller in this defense. They don't have a Khalil Mack. But with Belichick scheming up front, they've been able to create pass rush, leaning on that secondary and putting more people into the pass rush. You guys saw twice a year with Buffalo last year, the zero blitzes and the different types of pressures that they would bring at the quarterback. And that kind of made up for the fact that they didn't have an Aaron Donald. They didn't have a J.J. Watt. So I think the question is with this group moving forward is, do they have the chemistry? Do they have the continuity? Do they have the experience to run all those different pressure looks, to run all those different types of blitzes and be able to generate pass rush that way? If not, if they're going to just rely on the front four getting home, then they're not going to have as successful a season defensively as they had a year ago. So it's going to be a lot on Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, two rookies that they drafted on day 2 in April. Chase Winovich from last year, the 3rd round pick. He played well in a limited role just because of the experience in front of him. So I think that they're hoping that those younger players, the 1st and 2nd year guys specifically, are going to be able to, come in here and be big-time playmakers for this defense, at least within the scheme. I think that one of the greatest things about Belichick, especially on defense, is that he does take those guys that maybe other teams, for instance, Kyle Van Noy is a perfect example. He's in Miami now. He just got paid a huge contract by the Dolphins in free agency. He was a cast-off in Detroit, right? They traded him to the Patriots for a pick swap. A 6th round pick goes back to Detroit for a 7th round pick in Kyle Van Noy. That was the deal. Belichick took that player in Van Noy, put him in a role that really was very successful for him, and then Van Noy goes and signs with Miami for $13 million a year or something like that. So that's what Belichick is known for doing, is obviously making guys super role players, really kind of super role players in one specific way or two specific ways, just do this really well for us or just do that really well for us. And they were able to kind of get the most out of those players. So we'll see what happens. I think that scheming up front is really going to be the biggest difference. You're not going to have the amoeba defense where everybody's kind of jumbling around before the snap and you don't know who's coming and you don't know where the rush is coming from. Are they going to drop a guy? Are they going to blitz everybody? You have no idea. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with all the inexperience that they have in the front seven. So that's the biggest question mark for me going into tomorrow is how much can you really scheme up with two rookies playing a lot, with Winovich, who's a second-year player, playing a lot, and then a bunch of inexperienced guys within your system filling in there. So it's a good question. It's going to be one that, Belichick's going to really be put to the test, what exactly he's able to do defensively in order to kind of lean on this secondary, which is obviously still really good, but certainly needs help from the pass rush like any great secondary does.
All right, absolutely, man. Well said. Well said. Sean, you got a question for him?
Yeah. Evan, I just wanted to focus on the offensive side of the ball for a second. Tell us a little bit what you've seen out of the pass catchers. I know specifically you guys invested at first in N'Keal Harry. So, how have you seen his progression? Do you think he can be a solid, number one reliable target? And who else has stood out from the pass catching aspects?
It's a tough group right now, honestly. In camp, it was definitely pretty touch and go there. I think with N'Keal Harry, he really invested a lot of time this offseason in working on his footwork, especially at the line of scrimmage and his route releases. You guys got a pretty dang good releaser there in Stephon Diggs. So you understand, moving guys at the line of scrimmage, being able to create separation for yourself in the first 5 yards can often lead to a lot more separation down the field. So that's sort of what the Patriots are hopeful for, is if N'Keal Harry can start getting guys on his back, start being able to get guys off their spots at the line and get open up the field, then he can sort of turn into that contested catch guy, that big-bodied receiver that Cam has had success with in the past. The Kelvin Benjamins, the Devin Funches guys, Greg Olsen. He's thrown a really good ball to a lot of big-bodied pass catchers like N'Keal. The difference with N'Keal last year was that he just wasn't getting off the line the way that he needed to. He didn't have the explosiveness. He didn't have the twitchiness at the line of scrimmage to really create separation. So that's what they worked with him all offseason on, so that hopefully he can get into good body positioning down the field so he can win on back shoulders, or he can win on high point fades. He can win down the field a little bit more. We know he can do good things with the ball in his hands, on reverses and other types of scheme touches and things like that. But really creating separation down the field is the next step for him. I've seen some optimistic things from him in camp. It's definitely not like he came into camp and was blowing the doors off, but he did do some things pretty well in camp, and you saw the red zone capability, definitely being able to box out guys down there and catch touchdowns down by the goal line. I think that can be useful. Outside of N'Keal Harry, it's kind of a lot of unknowns at this point. Gunnar Olszewski had a really nice camp. He's on injured reserve now. He had with a foot injury that he re-aggravated in practice the other day, so that's not great news for them. They signed Damari Bird in free agency. He's sort of a Philip Dorsett type, a 4.2, 4.3 speed guy who doesn't necessarily play that fast, but he plays pretty fast, and he's a guy that can take the top off a little bit or be an intermediate threat using that speed. And then at tight end, they drafted two rookies in the third round, Devin Asiasi, Dalton Keene. Devin Asiasi definitely looks a little bit more pro-ready as a receiver. He's got great technique at the top of the route, and he can really create separation as a route runner. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. But the Patriots and rookie tight ends, or young tight ends, I should say, Gronk, he didn't really get to play a full workload until his second half of his rookie season. They really eased him in. Same with Aaron Hernandez. So there's not a ton of history there of a guy being a rookie like Asiasi and Keene at that position coming in and playing 70 snaps in week one. That's not really usually how the Patriots go about things. So it might be a little bit of a slower burn with the rookie tight ends, but I think eventually they can get some interesting things out of both of those guys.
They do right there, man. So that kind of answers your question there, right? They got to get their footwork right. And for people, a lot of people don't know how important footwork really is, especially when releasing off the line. You got guys, that's playing man coverage like to press you. So, it's just a lot to go with it before a ball gets snapped. If you're a football player, you understand what I'm talking about. It's just, that stuff is key. You figure that they take a guy so high in the first round that he still needs to develop footwork at this point. So, man, it's a lot of work, man, to be successful in the NFL, man. And those are the steps, especially, thank God he don't have, that's probably some of the struggles with Brady as well, because, Brady is more timing, rhythm. You have to be at a certain spot. I'm anticipating you being there. And if your footwork ain't in the right position, or you get knocked off because your feet work ain't right, that knocks off accuracy, that knocks off timing, that knocks off rhythm. So,
Exactly.
a guy like Cam that can move around in the pocket, can extend those routes, with moving with his legs, you're going to see some different type of qualities that you haven't seen in New England in quite a while. So,
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing with Brady, not to kick him on the way out or anything like that, he is the GOAT and we still love him. But the one thing with Brady is that if you're not in the circle of trust, then it's really difficult for you to carve out a role in the offense. And I think N'Keal, he missed half the season. He was on injured reserve for half of his rookie season. He missed a lot of training camp with the same foot injury, and he came back, and it was kind of like a crash course thrown into the fire type of thing. And you have a 20-year veteran at quarterback that has got a supercomputer in his brain, is expecting everybody to see the field the same way that he does and as quickly as he does. It's just a lot to ask for him. So I think a guy like Cam, who's going to take him under his wing a little bit more, N'Keal described Cam as kind of a big brother. He described Tom Brady to me last year as kind of his dad. You don't want to disappoint your parents. That was sort of the feel that a lot of those young Pats wideouts have, where it was, as with Cam, it's more of like a big brother, a little brother relationship where there's still some disappointment if you mess up, but it's more a teaching moment and, kind of bringing those guys along than it is sort of reprimanding them for screwing up. So I think that there's a lot to be said about Brady's sort of circle of trust that he's had over the years with guys like Edelman and Gronk, obviously, and Amendola and Chris Hogan and some of these other receivers that maybe the younger receivers that they had last year just really were running uphill the entire way trying to get into that circle with Brady.
Circle of trust? What is this? Meet the Falkers or what? Like,
I'm telling you, it's true. If you don't get in the circle of trust with Brady, he will just phase you out. He won't even look at you when you're on the field. That's really how it is with him. And sometimes it really works out well for him because he develops such a great chemistry with guys like Edelman or Amendola or Gronk or Hogan or whoever it ends up being. But when you're not in that circle, like he'll just won't even throw you the football. I remember Dwayne Allen, the Patriots signed Dwayne Allen, tight end, to be the tight end 2 behind Gronkowski, and they just wanted somebody that could smell Gronk a little bit, try to keep him fresh and try to keep him on the field. And Brady just kind of lost trust in Dwayne Allen about halfway through his first season, and he didn't see another target the rest of the year. That's just kind of how he is. And, he'll tell Belichick straight up, take that guy off the field. We don't want him out there. And that's sort of the way that he is. And obviously it's been successful for him. So how much can you really knock him?
TB12 at his best.
Mar?
Oh, God. Brady the GOAT. Come on, man.
You got my man Mario in tears right now. I could look at
No, I think everyone wants to talk about the departure of Brady, the departure of Gronk, and all these other guys. I think two things. Number one, you're going to see I think Cam Newton's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year because I think a lot of people wanted to write him off. And what you got a lot of these new moving parts. We got to remember, Cam Newton, when he was a rookie, he came into the league. He came into a team that went 1-15 the year before. So he knows how to play and raise the level. And he ended up throwing for 4,000 yards that year in his rookie season. So he knows how to raise up the level of play of all the players that are around him, even if the players around him are not at the level that they're supposed to be. I think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. I really do. I always preached many times that I thought it was more Belichick than Brady. But the one guy, and I don't know if Evan will agree with me on this, the one guy that's the departure of the one guy that's huge for the New England Patriots was Dante Scarnecchia retiring. He was the offensive line coach, and he was the guys that used to go there that other teams have written off, that he made pro bowlers and all pro guys and all this other stuff. He was someone that was an unsung hero in that New England Patriots, staff that got guys to play at a different level and kept Brady upright for a majority of his career. So I think that's a name that a lot of people need to start, learning. Is Dante Scarnecchia was the offensive line coach for the New England Patriots for a long time, and he got guys to play at a certain level. And like I said, back to my original point, I think Cam Newton is going to, along with Bill Belichick, they're going to give you a new look New England Patriot team. And don't be surprised if they end up just start winning games and string some games together and start, pushing for not necessarily a division title, but they just start, everyone has written them off. And I never write off anybody that has Bill Belichick as their coach.
Yeah, Scarnecchia it's one of the I think in New England later on in his career here, certainly he actually predated Belichick even in New England. He was a holdover from even, I believe, the mid 90s of Bill Parcells' staff, maybe was the first staff he was on. And, he was a holdover from that regime, and Belichick kept him here. He made it through Pete Carroll years and then all the way to the Belichick years. So he's been in the Patriots organization for over 30 years. And I think the one thing about him, you mentioned, taking cast-offs and things like that, back-to-back off seasons, they had Nate Solder signed by the Giants to the richest tackle deal in NFL history. They then brought in Trent Brown from San Francisco, a cast-off, like you mentioned. They turned him into the highest-paid tackle the next year in free agency. So that's what Scarnecchia does. He's got that magic touch to take guys that have ability and kind of just refine and get rid of all of the little kind of things that they have wrong with their technique, with their fundamentals, and really get them extremely clean in every single area. And I think the one benefit the Patriots do have from this being the first year without Scarnecchia is that they are returning 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line, and specifically those 3 interior guys, Tooney, Andrews, and Mason, have played a lot of football in this system and a lot of football in a lot of Super Bowls, in playoff games and big games. So they have some returning starters there. They have guys that have experience. They're just holding over the system from what they ran with Scarnecchia, with Priscillo and Cole Popovich, who are they're splitting offensive line coach duties. That's how highly Belichick thought of Scarnecchia, that he's got 2 guys doing his job this year instead of just 1. So they really are focused on that. In terms of Cam, kind of bringing a new thing to this offense, I think I was really surprised pretty much all summer how candidly Cam and Josh McDaniels, the Patriots offensive coordinator, spoke about the adaptations that they're going to make to this offense to fit Cam's mobility. You can't run the same system with Cam completely that you ran with Tom Brady. It's not getting the best out of Cam, obviously, as a guy that's run so well with the football. So they have talked about that pretty openly, about how they're going to adapt the scheme, how they are going to put in packages that fit Cam a little bit more. I think their running game will feature a lot more option football. I think you will see some zone read types of plays, RPOs, things like that with Cam Newton that you wouldn't see with Brady necessarily. So they're going to lean into that. They're going to have to lean into that, and they're going to want to be a ground and pound bully ball type of team. That's how they're going to want to win these games. They got a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback that can run the ball. They got a bunch of running backs that are pretty good. They like their offensive line. So yeah, the passing game is definitely limited. How they do in the traditional drop back passing game is definitely a huge question mark going into the season. But I think that they're hoping that they can at least get enough misdirection, enough chaos going on with that running game that they'll be able to build off of that with play action passes and other types of throws to kind of get away maybe a little bit from that timing, precision offense that we saw with Brady, because they really don't have the receivers to run that type of offense right now. So I think that there's a blessing in there with Cam. Obviously Brady leaving is going to hurt no matter what, but at least having a guy like Cam who's totally different and they can do something a little bit different with the scheme, I think that they're hopeful that can sort of get the most out of the personnel that they do have offensively.
Now, Evan, you have provided a ton of insight, man. I've learned more about the New England Patriots in the last 15 minutes than I have in probably the last 20 years. So I truly appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for your time. But before you get out of here, I need you to make some predictions, man. I need you to put some skin in this, and I want 3 predictions. 1, who will win the Patriots affair with the Dolphins? Who will win the Bills and Jets game? And then how will the AFC East shake out? Rankings from top to bottom. Let me hear it.
All right. Okay. So I think the Patriots are gonna beat Miami tomorrow, because there's a lot of players on this Patriots team still, like Stephon Gilmore, who got beat pretty badly by Devontae Parker last year in Week 17. That remember that Week 17 game. That was the beginning of the end of the dynasty right there. They lost to Miami in Week 17. They lost the bye week as a result. They ended up having to play the wild card round against Tennessee, which I can tell you, nobody in the building thought that they were going to play on wild card weekend last year. That game completely came out of nowhere for everybody. They thought they were going to take care of business against Miami, and it didn't happen. So I think there's some bad blood still there about that Week 17 game last year the Patriots will use to rally and win this game. The second question, Jets, Bills. I really do like the Bills this year. I'm not just saying that because I'm on with you guys. I think the Bills are going to be a good team. I think the Jets are not going to be a very good team. So I'll go Buffalo there. In terms of the AFC East, the homer in me wants to pick the Patriots to win the division again. Obviously, the realist in me sees that that's probably not on paper at least, the most realistic outcome. So I've kind of teetered back and forth with the Patriots record of being around 9-7, 10-6, somewhere around there, just because I trust Belichick to put everybody together. So I would say Buffalo 1 in the AFC, finally taking the crown from the Patriots. Pats 2 in a wild card spot, I would think, in the AFC playoffs. Miami, I think I like what they're building down there. They're still in transition, I think, in some spots, though, and obviously Tua is going to be the guy eventually. So I'll put Miami 3. The Jets are a dumpster fire. I don't know where they're heading organizationally. It's kind of a mess, and there's really no direction there in New York right now in terms of where you going with this team. I don't even know if Sam Darnold's any good, so it's kind of just all up in the air right there. But that's where I'm going. I think it's going to be a really good year again, though, for the Patriots and the Bills. Those were 2 great games last year, and I'm expecting 2 great games again this year.
Oh, Evan, you just really shout at the Jets right there, man. You just took a 12-game shotty, man.
When you're an NFL organization, be better than that. Have some sort of direction as a team. There's only 32 of you. It's not like it's college football where there's 150 schools that you're fighting for recruits for and stuff like that. Everybody's got the same draft board, and the Jets seem to continue to swing and miss all over the place. So I think they deserve it.
Yeah, especially when they give away their best player and don't want to be there, Jamal Adams. So, all you fantasy people, hopefully Dawson Knox will have a good game tomorrow. You never know. Be on the lookout for that. A little tidbit right there. No Jamal Adams. Oh, man, it's wide open up top. And once again, Mario, with no Jamal Adams, you think Steph Diggs going to have 80 yards? 80 yards.
Why are you bringing up old stuff? I don't understand this.
Hashtag old stuff, y'all. Y'all got that? Old stuff.
He's going to beat me over the head with that prediction. I swear to God.
Hey,
80-yard hammer.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you giving us your time, man.
Absolutely.
I know it's real busy for you right now. I know your phone going nuts because it's less than 24 hours away. It's like Christmas in September. Football season is finally here, man. So this is the first of a lot of things that's yet to come between us two, man. So appreciate you giving us your time.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys.
Thanks, Evan.
All right. Yeah, my guy was very informational right there. And he's shooting. I like that.
Yeah. Evan provided a ton of insight on the proposed New England Patriots. But we have another
right here on the tailgate special, right, CG? We're only here. You ain't gonna get no exclusive stuff from inside stuff from other NFL teams like you're gonna get right here on a Sunday night tailgate, man. You know what I mean? It's what it is, man. It's still early. It's still early. We're gonna give it to you on Saturday Night Lights every single Saturday. This is just the beginning, y'all.
I got a question for you, boys. Does Adam Gase survive the season?
Man,
make it to the end.
Yes, I believe he does.
Do his eyes get big? Do we sleep like that? I mean, do we sleep with his eyes open like that?
We take smelling salts to get up out of bed in the morning. Okay?
I would too if I had to coach that football team.
It's just hard for me to think that the Bills are going to have some struggles. I don't care if it's no preseason games. I don't care, they miss OTAs and the 500 reps. I know Coach McDermott got those 500 reps back. I don't see no way that the Bills should have any struggles against the Jets tomorrow. I mean, this should be just a blowout. I'm expecting a blowout. Let's not just be happy that they're just winning games right here. They've been in the playoffs the past 2 out of the 3 years. So we need to set the bar high. We need to set the expectations high. Because if you settle for less, you're gonna keep getting less all the time. It's cool to go to the playoffs now. Now we want to win. You know what I mean? That's the mentality they have. I'm gonna make them own up to it. You know what I mean? I want to ask the championship caliber type questions just to keep their mind focused on that. You know what I mean? So that's what we're gonna continue to do, and I think that they should be able to handle the Jets pretty easy. I mean, you got Mekhi Becton, the big stud over there that they, that's gonna be holding down the blind side. Then you got George Fant. Those two guys against Addison, Hughes, and company. I just don't see them I just don't see it. And then the guy that, as a sleeper guy is Quentin Jefferson. Watch Quentin Jefferson tomorrow. All right. If you haven't seen this guy in Seattle, I mean, you didn't get the opportunity to see him yet. I have the opportunity. You want to talk about a guy that's relentless, nonstop. man, it's gonna be real competitive because they want to see who's going to get to the quarterback the most. So, I mean, did I forget about Ed Oliver? I mean, we ain't even talking about that guy. You know what I mean? So tomorrow they should easily have no problems in dealing with the Jets. I think it's going to be some continuity issues in that passing game because he has new targets. He has, Josh Allen, his guy's been there. Only guy that he got to get up the point is Stephon Diggs. So there's going to be some timing issues and real pace with him. So I think they're going to rely a lot on Frank Gore and Le'Veon Bell to try to get the job done and move those sticks. And I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to really see this defense thrive, and this offense going to take it to another level come tomorrow. That's my hope. That's my expectation. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see, we got to wait to get into week 4 or week 5 to see it. No, it's time to see it now. It's time to see it now. The pieces is in place. I understand you learn as we go, but we just got too many weapons just to be putting up 20 points a game. That's unacceptable right now.
I tend to agree with you. And you and I kind of share parallel in thoughts of how this game needs to be handled. I agree with you that they do need to put an ass whooping on the New York Jets in order to prove to me that this season is really what they've kind of titled it as. That this season is kind of what, the regime, the Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane regime has accumulated to the 2020 season. And, it leads up to, a ton of uncertainty surrounding this season, what have you. But all your pieces are in place. All the pieces you had last season and all the pieces you acquired this offseason, you have your pieces in place. This is the season that you've been building up to for the last 3 years. Now, there's an amount of expectation brought along with the championship caliber roster that you have built. And this team has more expectations falling on their shoulders than they've had, honestly, in my lifetime. You guys can't say the same thing because you guys watch the Super Bowl. I don't know about Sean. I don't know how old Sean is, but I know you and Mario and Mookie watch those Super Bowl teams. And they've seen teams walk into seasons with expectations or something that was just, maybe this year we'll break the drought. But we're no longer expecting them to just break the drought or just make the playoffs or just win a playoff game. We're expecting home playoff games. We're expecting possibly an AFC championship appearance. The bar has been elevated. But, Mario, I'm really interested to hear what kind of your expectations are, not only for just this game, but the Bills season in its entirety.
Well, I'm going to catch some heat once again from Mookie. I just know it's coming. Because I did, over on Hashtag Sports, when we do our shows and we talk about the Bills, and I predicted that the Bills would win the division, but with a 9-7 record. Now, I'll pause so Mookie can beat me up for that, for the Bills only winning 9 games. But the point is this. All right, let me try to – while he goes, I'm going to try to get my point out. The gauntlet of teams that the Buffalo Bills have to run through, they have to run through both the AFC West and the NFC West. And those teams are not teams that are slouches. They're teams that have been in the playoffs, been in the Super Bowl, made runs, and have a lot of experience there. You start to talk about, okay, week 1. I always try to look at the coordinators of those teams to try to see what's going to happen. Now, true, the New York Jets tomorrow, the New York Jets are not going to have Mosley. They're not going to have Adams. However, Greg Williams is a mutant when it comes to dialing up defensive schemes that confuse quarterbacks. Now, the fact that we don't know what players he's going to use to do those things, but they're not going to be at the talent level of Mosley and Adams, we know that. But he's going to design schemes that are totally going to just try to confuse Allen, try to confuse the offense, try to go up against Dable and try to do all this other stuff. I understand that. But if you try to look at the Buffalo Bills schedule, they're going up against Greg Williams in week 1. Just about speaking purely from the offense, you're talking about going up against Greg Williams in week 1. You're going up against Flores and that type of spin-off of the Patriot 3-4 down in Miami. Then you're going to then you're playing the Rams and Raiders, who both have first-year defensive coordinators there at their place. Except for the Raiders. The Raiders had a defensive coordinator who coached in Cincinnati for a while. But then you go to Tennessee, who also have another spinoff of a Patriot defense. But then you go to Kansas City, or you play Kansas City, and then with Steve Spagnuolo there. So you have roughly 4 different defensive philosophies on how to attack this Buffalo Bills offense in the first 6 weeks. So that being said, I don't think not with the preseason and they didn't have an extended camp and everything. Even though the Buffalo Bills are coming in with a lot of continuity, I'm gonna hold my breath those first 6 weeks and say, listen, if I'm not going to say Rome is burning if they don't put up 28, 35 points each game. I'm not gonna lose my mind on that. But I just think that the gauntlet and the type of defenses they're going to play, along with the quarterbacks they're playing this year versus 2019, I think it's just going to be a little bit tougher road than a lot of people are saying for the Buffalo Bills. People are saying 13-3, 12-4. I hope I'm wrong. However, I just want to err on the side of caution here just a little bit.
I respect the caution.
I thought you were getting that 80-yard hammer to hit me with it again.
You know, I was just like cut him off the show right now.
That damn knife, man. That knife.
Cut him off the show for that.
What Jeremy tell you about us and machetes? We don't get along, man. Come on.
9-7. I understand your logic, but 9-7. You giving the Raiders credit because of their defense.
I'm just saying.
Defense,
the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to be coming at you. How could you plan for it? That's all I'm saying.
Right. So the Raiders don't know what's coming after them offensively. A lot of teams don't know what's coming after them offensively.
Oh, the book on Dable is pretty much pronounced. I think it is.
Let's stop giving these defenses credit before we play the game. Let's stop giving these defenses credit before we play the game. And then you speak on Kansas City. Why do you mention Kansas City? Like, why do you mention them? Like, because they're the Super Bowl champs? They defense is average at best. So, like, they give up points. If it wasn't for their offense, they wouldn't have won that Super Bowl.
They just won the Super Bowl. Like, what I'm saying. But you got to understand, the Super Bowl that they won, the defensive coordinator there is Steve Spagnuolo, who designed the defense that beat the 18-0 Patriots. So it's not like this guy's never been to the dance before with his defensive schemes and how to scheme against offenses that are Patriot based, which the EP system is, which is what Dable is bringing over. So I'm not, like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I know the gauntlet they got to run.
Dable ain't bringing Patriot stuff anymore like that. You know, they ain't bringing no Patriot stuff. He was there. But that's some of that you ain't seeing no Patriot stuff. We don't have. It's different personnel. What we have. And now I can say what can I say? He might give you a little spin off what you saw in Alabama. Something that I wanted to see. Something that I thought that where the Bills hired him because of. You know what I mean? Because of the type of multiple formations he was running in Alabama. New England didn't have anything to do with it, as far as I'm concerned, on why he was hired as the Bills offensive coordinator for the things that he's done in Alabama. And, you know, you're going to see some of those things from Sunday that no team has saw. Yeah. So we giving New England, we giving all these other teams defenses credit. We haven't played the game. You know what I mean? Let's give our offense credit. Now, you mentioned Kansas City. Who's checking Stephon Diggs for Kansas City? I'm going to wait for that. Who's checking him? Who's checking Stephon Diggs for Kansas City? Name the guy. Because you already said Pierre Desir got to stop.
You're talking about a receiver that is the top 3 in the NFL in route running. So I don't know if there's a lot of guys that can check him other than the guy that just got paid on his own team, Trey White.
He's struggling too.
Yeah,
and it's not like that he's not going up against one of the best defenses in practice every day.
All I'm saying is that there's too many coincidences for me. Now you think about, I think that Dable, what he did is he brought over a derivation of the Patriots offense when he came to Buffalo. Now you saw how Josh Allen worked in that offense, won 10 games. He was very proficient at times. You don't think that was a bug that was placed in Belichick's ear to go after Cam Newton, who a lot of people compared Josh Allen to when he was first coming into the league? You don't think he said, hey, if I have Allen here or a type of player like Allen here in a Cam Newton, this offense could still thrive?
Well, they've been trying to get a mobile guy. They've been trying to get Teddy Bridgewater, to be honest. I mean, when Brissett was there, you saw the mobility in Brissett that kind of kept things going. You didn't, like, Evan just mentioned, you don't see that in Tom Brady, but how do we say, Tom, it's time for you to get the hell out of here, all right? The game has evolved, so.
Well, I don't know. They got Garoppolo. They got Hoyer. They got guys like that. Brissett, to me, is more of a pocket guy, even though he can move. He's more of a pocket guy to me.
And that's all you need in the New England system. We just need you to move a little bit. Tom, he's throwing that thing in the dirt. You got me. You won't touch me. I'm gonna throw it in the dirt. You know what I mean? Belichick don't want that. Belichick, hey, you got some escapability about you. Keep this thing going, man. You know, pass protection is gonna break down sometimes. So, you know, to give the players a chance instead of just throwing a damn ball in the dirt, that's not football. So now they got a guy that they could, mold into. But I don't say 9-7. I don't say the Bills fall off. If you're actually saying that the Bills are going to regress from a 10-6 season, they easily could have had 11 wins if we weren't in the playoff position against the Jets, the Seattle players.
True.
And to go 9-7, I just don't. I mean, I got us 12-4. I got us 12-4.
Well, I only said that because I think that the gauntlet of teams they play this year is so much better that if they did go 9 when I was doing my predictions, 9-7 this year is more impressive than their 11-5 that they would have gone or 10-6 last year because of the caliber of teams that they're playing.
Yeah, it is a tougher road. I mean, you got that NFC West. That's just going to be a monster. That's why I see the Bills losing the bulk of their games that is in that division. I think the Bills should dominate the East. I don't think the Bills should lose a game in the AFC East at all. The Bills should. I mean, it's the best way to win your division is to win every game. All right, that's what I'm telling my players. The best way to win the division, just win every game in your division. New division champs, no matter what the record is. If they're 9-7, let all 6 of my wins be in the division. Anything else I can care less about. But if they go that route, I'm cool with that. But I think it's more. It's no more crawling till we walk. We're no more pacifying because we're playing San Fran, because we're playing Pittsburgh now that they got Big Ben, because we're playing Seattle, because we're playing Kansas City, that we should lose because we're playing that team. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that. This team don't get enough credit. It's time for them to get the credit where credit's due, man. Our defense has been stout. Everybody expected us last year to get blown out by Baltimore, right? Should have won that game. Baltimore only scored 24 points, but they dropped 40 against the entire league except for, the last game of the season. You know what I mean? But, they're not giving Bills a credit. We're going to see what's going to happen when we play Kansas City. And that's going to be the breakout game that say, you know what? Holy shit, hey, these guys is serious. And they still playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're not satisfied because they broke the drought. They're not satisfied because, we didn't made it to the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years. They're not satisfied with that. It's a lot of things to prove now, so.
They go into that game undefeated, Mookie? Did they go into that game against KC undefeated? Rams, Raiders, Dolphins, Jets. Rams, Raiders, Dolphins, Jets. Titans.
Nope. I got them down. I got Tennessee getting it. I got Tennessee taking this off our first one.
I got you.
Tennessee will be the Bills' first loss of the season, but they'll bounce back and beat Kansas City. Right.
Sean, I don't mean to cut you off, Luke. Apologies, but Sean, I'm interested to hear. I want to hear what your expectations are for the Bills because I think we're all over the place right here. Mario's at 9-7. Mookie's at 12-4. I've said 11-5 from the start of the offseason to now. Sean, what do you feel about the 2020 Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I did the prediction. We had a Bills Roll video pod last week, and I landed at 11-5. I think 11-5 is a great record. Our schedule, like the guys have said, it's much harder this year. It is a bit of a gauntlet, but realistically, with the continuity, with the talent that we have, there's no reason why we shouldn't be at least 5-1 in the division. And then we have some easier games on the schedule. So I think 11-5 is definitely realistic. And I think we finished at least a game clear, if not 2, above second place, which I expect to probably be a dogfight between Miami and the Patriots. But yeah, I think 11-5 would be a great record and give us a lot of confidence headed into a home playoff game.
Right. Now, hey, we all gave predictions on how this season's going to end up for the Bills, but I want to hear something bold about this Jets game. I want to hear a bold prediction because Mario likes the mismatches between Brian Poole going up against Cole Beasley. I love that one too. To be quite honest, I think the whole damn game's a mismatch. If you're asking me, to be quite honest and to be blunt, I think the whole damn game is a mismatch. But with that being said, we can have a little bit of fun with some bold predictions. Mario, I want you to kick us off with something fun, something bold that you think will happen.
Let me use the same one that I used on a previous. I went on Jets Talk 24/7 earlier this week, and I was by myself. Like I was in the Shark Tank, man. I was there with 3 different Jets fans, Jets fans, YouTubers and stuff like that. So I went on there and I made a bet with them, and I said that the bold prediction was that Josh Allen would outrush Le'Veon Bell in this game. So
I love that.
It's kind of a crazy prediction or a crazy bold prediction, but that's what I was saying. That Josh Allen would outrush Le'Veon Bell, and the bet is if I have to go on their show again this upcoming week, and if I win, they all have to wear Bills paraphernalia on their show, and if they win, obviously if Bell outrushes them, I got to wear a Jets hat or Jets shirt or something like that. So it's pretty fun.
That's a good bet, man. That's a good bet, man, because he might outrush Le'Veon. He got more rushing touchdowns than Ezekiel Elliott. So, anything's possible. Anything possible, especially how this defensive front is, man. Seriously. So, that's a good bold prediction that I like. I'm going to be rooting for you. In fact, I'm going to put the knife away, man. You back up right now. You got your access back. Access approved. Hashtag.
Oh man, that's good. That is good.
Hashtag. Bold prediction. I'm going to say. I can't even say that's really bold because I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say Zach Moss has over 125 yards total from scrimmage.
Ooh.
Okay.
Total yards from scrimmage. That and 2 touchdowns. So I go with that. 125 yards total yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns. Zach Moss.
I can't believe you have Devin Singletary getting hurt in the first game. This is crazy.
Oh goodness.
No.
I was kidding.
Hey,
I like that though. I like that.
I mean, we bring the knife back out now.
Don't worry. I won't. No. That is bold. I love it though. I absolutely love that prediction.
Wow. Moss is going off in that first game. Mookie, you're telling me I have to start him in fantasy this week. It sounds like.
Maybe.
Or I should have.
I just snatched him up on my fantasy, man, because you got to understand something. You got to understand something. The guy's going to be out there. Any type of short yard situation inside the red zone, he's going to, Think's going to be out there too. But you got to look at it. Gore was in there last year, so
yeah,
not rocket science to figure that one out, And he's running boys over too. Like he ain't playing. Like guys is really making business decisions early. And man, I'm telling you, it's you're gonna see. You're gonna see he can catch and he can run. And it's gonna be tough for the Jets to try to figure that out, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. It's gonna be tough to figure that one out. And the M&Ms, that's what we call them. The M&Ms. Woo, that off down your hand, baby.
I started that. I'm telling you, I'm gonna hold it. The M&Ms. I started that. I made that graphic. It took forever.
What we got? The M&Ms and CBD.
All right. Okay, Sean. I want to hear something bold. Zach Moss $125, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty bold. Josh Allen out rushing Le'Veon Bell. That's pretty bold.
That's super.
John, you got quite the bar to try and rise to here.
I'm sitting here just angry as hell because Mookie stole my thunder. I was going to go Zach Moss, but I don't know. I think 120 might be a little bit of a stretch. I can see it happening, but what I will say about Zach Moss, I think when we look at after the game, we look at the box score, total snaps with the offense. Zach Moss has had rave review about his pass blocking, and I think he's going to come in from game 1 as a rookie and really could be an every down back. So don't be surprised if Zach Moss has more snaps with the offense in game 1 over Singletary. But I'll give you one. I say the Bills win this game by 20 points.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, he just drops the mic. He doesn't have no one else. 20-point win. 20-point win. I did drop.
That's not a bold prediction.
So wait, Lynn. Now here's the deal. All of those are pretty much, for the most part, offensive based. offensive base bold predictions. First, Clayton, what's your bold prediction for the game?
I was also offensive based. I was going to say John Brown's going to have 7 catches, 100 yards, over 100 yards, and a touchdown, at least.
Look at
But
If-
if I were put in the corner and I had to make a Bills defensive prediction, because you could really have some fun with this. Because to be quite honest, I think the Jets offense is just a hilarious shit show. To be quite honest. Yeah, I could really have some fun with this. You can go. I'll say for the Bills defense, they're going to have 4+ sacks and create 5 or more turnovers. That's my bold prediction for the Bills.
5. Wow.
Got to put it at 5.
I would say that. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You can go ahead.
No, I was going to say that Mekhi Becton gives up 4 sacks himself.
Oh yeah.
That'd be my bold one because I think that rookie is going to get his head spun around by Jerry Hughes so many times.
Leslie Frazier is going to make Mekhi Becton sit on an island and have him pass block one of the fastest, hungriest guys on the Bills defense. They're going to put that big dude on an island and watch his slow feet move backwards as he tries to throw a help me block for Sam Darnold as Jerry Hughes just flies by. I can see it happening all day. And, you kind of led me into that perfectly because I don't think that Jets offensive line matches up with the Bills at all. And that's really where the whole thought of, yeah, it's funny to think that Josh Allen could outrush Le'Veon Bell in this game. But it's entirely practical because you think about how bad that offensive line is and how bad it's been ever since they brought in Le'Veon Bell. Because, might I remind you, they missed out on center Matt Paradis so they could sign their all-star running back to a $90 million contract in which they got – no production in favor for that. So really, it's just been an entirely mishandled organization. It's not just the offensive line, but the offensive line is an excellent embodiment of the mishandling of the Jets organization as a whole. And I think that the Bills probably one of their strongest areas. I mean, their entire defense is strong. Don't get me wrong, but that defensive line is probably as deep as any in the NFL now. You talk about defensive ends, defensive tackles. It doesn't matter. They're keeping Trent Murphy on the team for $8 million this season just for shits and giggles at this point, to be quite honest with you. They didn't have to do that. They kept him on the roster because they could. They kept him on the roster with that salary cap that just sticks out like a sore thumb to have the deepest defensive line in football. They looked at the issues in the past with the Sean McDermott defense and the inability to stop the run on occasions. And are we all lagging out or what? Was that just me?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so.
Uh-oh.
That was you.
Did I just cut out?
Yeah. You're good now.
Well, we got bold predictions, but I mean, Sean kind of already gave us his game prediction. I'll just cut off. I'll just leave it wherever it cut me off because that's just
I'll
something.
say 31-10. That was being my game.
31.
Throw it out there.
You ain't
Okay.
you got to give us your bold prediction on defense. What is your bold prediction on defense, Sean?
Okay.
You know what? I will say that the time that our starting D is in the game, we hold the Jets under 10 points. So we'll see if that's the whole game. But yeah, I see them giving up maybe 7 points, maybe 10 at the most.
You're just saying that because that's what Vegas is saying. And we're going to touch on that next. I know my man CG got something about these odds. We're going to talk because I know that's what y'all do too. Y'all talk Vegas talk. We're going to get in that in just a minute. But my bold prediction for defense, and my guy, don't cut me, please. Trent Murphy. It's going to have 2 sacks tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Trent Murphy. Don't cut me, please, Trent Murphy.
I gotta go get to my kitchen. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Against who, Mook? Is he going
awesome.
against Mekhi Becton on those 2 snaps?
You're gonna probably see, George Fant, on that other side. And he's gonna surprise a lot. I mean, like I said before, and we talked about this, why they keep Trent Murphy, because the pieces that surround him now. Maybe this is the year where the money finally, he might be worth the money this year. And the Bills can stand to keep him at that, say, 7 to 8. So it's probably cheaper to keep a guy who's been in his system for 3 years now to help these younger guys. And, he's finally healthy himself to maybe say that he's finally worth the bread that they're giving him. So I'm going to give him credit right now because, hey, he's still on the squad. If he doesn't hold up to that potential early on, the Bills will have no problem in moving him. We already saw that in the middle of the night. They had no problem moving you. So I'm going to go out and say Trent Murphy start the season how he ended it, on a good note, except for that last fourth quarter meltdown he had as well. All right, Josh Allen was the only one that had a fourth quarter meltdown. Trent Murphy had a fourth quarter meltdown too. He went to sugar to shit, real quick. You know what I mean? So hopefully, like my guy's gonna have 2 sacks tomorrow. That's my bold prediction. Don't cut me, Trent.
I'm sorry, Mook. I don't get out very often. I've never heard somebody say that before. Never heard somebody.
Mario up there like Jason Voorhees.
Mario, how about you?
My bold prediction for the defense?
Yes, sir.
Oh no, I said Mekhi Becton gives up 4 sacks himself.
Okay.
I think Becton gives up 4 sacks himself. But I am slightly interested. When we talk about matchups and stuff like that, because Butler did practice Thursday and Friday. You got some familiarity there with him and Greg Van Roten starting there at guard. So I'm interested to see how that first meeting goes because they met in practice a few times. Nice. So I'm so interested to see if that or Butler is getting in the ear of Oliver, getting in the ear of Jefferson, saying, "Hey, this is what he goes. This is what he falls for. This is what he does." All that inside intel is so huge, especially with the new, Eric Washington being the new defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He knows, what gets that line going, what doesn't get that line going. So I'm so interested to see that matchup too. So, but my bold prediction is Becton will give up 4 sacks himself.
How about for the game? Well, actually, no. Before we predict the game, we have to talk about this egregious spread. The 6.5. The Bills, who are 6.5 point favorites at home in an empty stadium. Don't get me wrong. I can kind of get it with the empty stadium part for just being 6.5 point favorites. But Mookie, you seem very eager to talk about the Bills being only 6.5 point favorites.
Only thing I'm gonna say is, hey Sean, look, I'm gonna send you the bread, man. Please make bet for me. I'm not in New York State right now, so I need you to put that one in, man. That spread 6.5. Bet the house. All right, here, take my card. Bet the house, okay, Sean? Do what you want.
Yep. I'm gonna go run down to that downtown casino. Can we plug that real quick? I got you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Sean carry. This is what Sean do right here. So I'm gonna let Sean lead the charge with this.
Oh man, it's just crazy. I think it's a little bit disrespectful. I think just that on paper alone, I think the Bills really deserve to be probably a 7, 8, maybe 8.5 point favorite in this game. So if you're gonna bet it, I would even maybe give more points. I would buy the extra, get it into plus money return. If you're gonna bet $100, get it up to at least a double up, if not more. This should be a fairly easy cover for the Bills, honestly.
What about what's the over? What's the over?
Ooh, I don't know. I think it's 39. I don't know. I'll check it.
39 was the over? Dang.
No, it might be more than that.
It's gone up. I know it was like 39 and a half
the other night.
Well, let me check on that real quick though. Are we doing predictions now?
Well, we're gonna do predictions, not now, but we just going over odds. What
40
has to say?
40's the over under.
It went up. It was 39. So
yeah.
39?
40. It's 40 now. So.
Oh, it's 40. I mean, it might go down because of the Josh Norman thing. Who knows? But Josh Norman wasn't slotted to play anyway. He was already ruled out. So that's pretty interesting. 40 points. That's like, I don't know if they just trying to reel you in right now and just give you these games, but you better take advantage of them. I know that. I think that the game will go over 40. You just have to wait to see what my score prediction will be, at the end to see 40. I mean, hey, it's an old school AFC, goal. I remember the goalpost went down 23-20, so, hey, anything can be possible. That's what 43. I did take math once upon a time. It's 43 points. So it can't happen. It can't happen tomorrow. What's the under?
Oh God, that's great.
What's the under?
Oh, well, there you go.
They gotta be 37. Maybe can't be too far from it. But I don't think. I think they go over. I think they all go over, and I think they cover the spread.
The Bills cover the over.
Man, just go all in. If this was poker, You had to put your chips on the game. Put
Right.
all your chips.
After this game, when I have another chance, like they might be sleeping on the Bills' offense here. This is the game. You might as well hit on it.
All right.
But just to go off how everybody thinks when we play these, because we got this tough schedule. When we play teams like Kansas City, when we play teams like San Fran, when we even play New England, I want to see what the line's going to be when we play New England. Even when we play the Raiders, I want to see these lines. Because are they going to, they're not going to say the Bills should blow the Raiders out, and they're not going to say the Raiders are going to blow the Bills out. So we're going to see these minor little spreads. So it's going to be a good year to put your money on the Bills this year.
I don't know, Mookie. In my experience, you should never bet on a team in which you have rooting interest for. You just never should. Never. Ever. Never.
I'm not saying being a pain freak, but at the end of the day, common sense now. This is not the Bills of old. This is not the Bills of 5 years ago. All right, so missed out on a lot of money off from last year. Don't do it again this year. Don't do it again this year, man. Don't do it again.
We've had bold predictions. We gave kind of record predictions for this season. I want to hear your favorite matchup. Offense or defense, I don't care. Your favorite matchup, mismatch, or favorite matchup to watch, what you feel will be the most competitive, or the one that you feel will be the most dominant in favor for the Bills. What matchup is your favorite in this game? Mook, I'm coming to you first.
Man, it's one up front, and I want to see how in the hell Mitch Morris is going to handle Quentin Williams. The guy just wrecked havoc, Mitch Morris, last year. And did Mitch Morris get hurt that game? Did Mitch Morris get hurt that game? So that's what I want to see right off the rip. First guy who touches the football up against that monster who gave him fits last year. And that's what I want to see. That's the big matchup that everybody's not really thinking about. Everybody's thinking about, Stephon Diggs and, the DBs or our pass rush against, the newly found left tackle. You could do Denzel Mims against True Davis. But the game was one up front. Nobody's going to be taking a look at that center nose guard matchup, and that's what I'm going to be looking at. Because sometimes it was tough for Mitch to snap the ball even. That's how much of a disturbance. That's how quick Quentin Williams was getting off that ball, man. So that's one of the intriguing matchups that I want to see. Or are they going to help him with the guard? Is the guard going to give some help? Because they're not that strong at the linebacker spot. They're not as stout as CJ Mosley would be. They're a little undersized. So, that could give the guards and Abel a chance to go ahead and chip, get upstairs, or just double all the way down. And so that's when I want to see the matchup between guard and nose tackle.
Right. Now, Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I was really interested in watching Denzel Mims go against Trey White. It's unfortunate, obviously, he's not going to be playing. What I am interested in is obviously, Crowder being their primary weapon usually operates out of the slot. So I wonder, it's not really like the Bills to maybe have Trey White on him. So does that fall on Teron Johnson? And if that's the case, the guy, I expect him to have at least probably 10 targets. Can Teron Johnson check him well enough, to limit the opportunities?
Yeah, that's a good question, man, because Crowder killed him last year. So that's good. That's a good one.
Mario?
I talked a little bit tonight about, maybe Butler versus, Greg Van Roten. I talked about Beasley versus Poole, Dable versus Williams. But I think one of the matchups that I'm most interested to see, because people have talked about Dawkins got his money, Trey got his money. Matt Milano versus Le'Veon Bell in the pass game and neutralizing him when he gets into space. I'm so interested to see how that matchup plays out. If they even put him, if they want to leave, Tremaine in the middle, they can leave Tremaine in the middle. I understand that. But when he starts to leak out and get into those routes, he's such a great, dual threat guy out of the backfield. I'm talking about Bell. I'm interested to see how much Milano, how much he can do with Bell. I'm so interested to see that matchup.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You guys, if you haven't, check out Cover One's video that highlighting Milano's coverage in space. Beautiful thing to watch.
As long as he ain't ankle bite, I don't care. You better not ankle bite tomorrow. My guy, I love him. You better be there to tackle. You better be there to tackle, baby.
when I went to look over this team and just look at, just who the Jets are starting where, there was one name in particular that's going to be matched up with John Brown that's why I said y'all should put John Brown in your lineup for fantasy this week. That's why I say he's going to have 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. LaSwan Austin, I've never heard of him. Never. Not one time. Not in draft preparation, not leading up to the Jets game, not leading up to any game. I've never heard of this individual before. But I put him on blast a little bit on Twitter, obviously, just talking my talk. And I get put on blast by Jets fans. Apparently he can ball, but he's been on their practice squad for the last 2 seasons. So it's time to see him ball against John Brown. And I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see the deep ball. I think you're going to see the deep ball this week a lot. Like Mookie said earlier in the show, I think you're going to see it particularly with John Brown. And that, that's really what they brought John Brown in here to do. They didn't bring John Brown in here to become a wide receiver 1 and be the Bills' best option on the offense. That what he did last year, which don't get me wrong, he did an admirable job of it being the Bills' best offensive weapon, in my opinion. But that was not what he was brought here to do. He's brought here to do what he's going to do this season and be a solid wide receiver 2, playing and giving the Bills a mismatch to pick on, such as this week, where he's playing a player like LaSwan Austin. Don't get me wrong, Pierre Desir covering Stephon Diggs. I think that's a mismatch, but is it as big of a mismatch as LaSwan Austin covering John Brown? Absolutely not. I think John Brown is going to leave this dude in the dust. He's going to smoke right by him, and the Bills' offense is going to have a huge day, and it's going to be partially due in part to John Brown's big day against LaSwan Austin.
Is that same Austin that ran a 4.7 at his pro day? That's a 4.7, guys. He ran a 4.7.
Well, you're reading it off your computer. He ran a 4.7. What college did he go to?
Rutgers.
Hashtag 4.7.
Hashtag 4.7. Yes, he did 15 reps on the bench. That's all he did at the actual combine. So he can jam you, but if he doesn't get his hands on you, he's done. He's done.
You're right about that. And, I mean, all 4 valid points, great breakdowns, man. I mean, those it's just like Pierre Desir checking Steph Diggs. You got a practice squad player checking Smoke Brown. Did you see what he did to Steph Diggs last year? I mean, Steph Gilmore, excuse me. You see that? This is what we're left out here with. I just don't see it. Like, that roster is just like you said. It's just a shit show. There's just no way. I mean, games is not won on paper, but damn, take my paper. Look at my paper, and look at the Jets paper. I mean, it just don't look good. It just don't look good at all. For them to come to Buffalo and think that there is going to be a close game, I don't think it's going to be a close game at all.
It's so different as Bills fans being on this side of the fence. Because we're usually on the other side. Right. We don't have enough talent. We're the underdogs. We're coming in. We're doing this. And now that the Buffalo Bills are on this side of the fence going, listen, this is our division to take. This is this. We outmatch this team. We outmatch that team. We match up really well against this team. We're playing both of the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. Okay. We're playing a very tough Seattle team. Okay. We're playing the Rams who put up 7,000 points every week, and all that wrapped in together. But to Mookie's point from earlier, okay, this is the time. People need to start looking at the Buffalo Bills not as that team that went through a 17-year drought, but as a team that has been on the rise and are going to make some noise this year. So I'm still going to stay steadfast in my 9-7, but I do agree with Mookie and the fact that this is a team that I think last year throughout the Thanksgiving game, when they beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh on primetime, you know what I mean? They showed you, listen, this is not a team you're not going to disrespect anymore. You're not going to disrespect the Buffalo Bills, and they're not a circled win on the schedule anymore. So you better bring your A game. And there's some teams that are, in the Dolphins and the Jets that are, they're rebuilding. The house that Belichick built is starting to crumble a little bit. So it's their time now. It's the Buffalo Bills' time to shine. So.
Right. Let's just say it's going to be a dominating 9-7. Let's just say that. It's a dominating 9-7.
The 9-7.
If they win a game, it's 35-10. If they lose it, it's 19-16 or something.
No, dominating. It's going to be a dominating 9-7 season. I'm going for that.
Hey, I'm down for any kind of domination, considering most of it. Most of my life
Wait,
is
phrasing, Clayton, phrasing.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Easy
All
there,
right.
big dog.
I think
All
we should
right.
get to predictions. We should get to predictions.
All
We'll
right.
just,
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
cut it right to predictions. Mookie, you have the most confidence on this screen in the Buffalo Bills. This start with you.
You know, I'm going to say Bills 38, Jets. They might get 10 because we might give them a gimme touchdown late in the game. Who knows? But right now, 38-3. Bills cover the spread. They cover it over. Go get your money.
Go get some money.
Just go get some money, man. Go cash out, man. That's like an extra stimulus package, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Pandemic funds, okay? Pandemic funds, courtesy of the Bills. Just go ahead and put your money on the Bills, man. Get the stimulus package tomorrow early.
Sean.
I'm going to say 30 one time, move, covering the spread. Give the points if you can. Give more points. Buy them.
Mario.
Yeah, I think Josh kills the cat with everybody talking about who can't throw for 300 yards. He's going to have over 300 yards. And his completion percentage will be there, and he'll be responsible for 4 touchdowns.
All right. I don't know how far that is. That knife is. I don't know how close it is for Mookie, but Bills 20-6.
20-6. Mario, I don't know if I could suffer through a 20-6 game, honestly. After 7 months, I don't know if I could suffer through another 20-6 Jets game.
Yeah, it's going to be awful. But I mean, that's what because they didn't have no preseason, very short training camp. Even though they have a lot of parts back, I just think you're going to have to dust a few things off. So that's what I'm thinking. The defense is a lot easier to come back than offenses are in as far as continuity and scheme and communication, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna. I made the prediction on the Jets channel 20-6 before. I'm gonna stick with that. I just think that it's going to be a lot, but that's not relegated to the game. That's not just relegated to the Bills Jets game. I'm saying that's across the league. You're going to see some slow starts by these teams. That's just my personal opinion. So, and Bills and the Jets game is going to be no different. I think it's going to be 20-6 Bills.
I understand your thought process and where you're coming from with that. And I mean, I tend to agree with it, honestly. That I think you'll see a lot of sloppy football this weekend from a lot of teams. And in particular, I think a team that you're going to see a lot of sloppy football from is going to be the New York Jets. That's why I think they turn the ball over 5 times. Their left tackle can't get his feet off the ground, and why the Bills come away with a dominating 38-10 victory. That is really where I'm at with the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. A dominating 20-6 game, though. Stefan, oh gosh, these last name Frischche. I think we're going to go with that 20-6 game. Now, hey, it's going to be a fun weekend. This was a fun night. Mookie, any parting words?
I just can't wait to see what presents I have around my football tree tomorrow. You know what I mean? Hopefully it's a 38-3 victory. And, we can talk about this, afterwards the same way we talked about it before, So, hey, I'm just happy that football is finally here. Everybody, make sure you go do a thorough research. Check your fantasies tonight. Do your due diligence with that. And, Sean, I appreciate having you on. Hashtag my guy. Appreciate you chiming in with us, man. And TG, you already know.
Mario.
Saturday night, baby. This is where we at.
Mario, I want anything you guys want to plug. I love all the content him and Paul have putting out over there at Hashtag Sports. If you don't subscribe to them on YouTube, go check them out immediately. You're going to love their content. I've loved their content for years. I started watching them before I even hopped into Cold Front Report, so I know y'all are going to love them. Mario, anything you guys coming down the line you want to plug or anything you guys have going on that you want to shout out real quick?
During the season, our schedule, it mixes up a little bit. We're going to be going live on Wednesdays just to kind of discuss the game and and kind of preview a little bit. And then we also have our Friday film room that we're going to be having once again for everyone that wants to go. It's at #Sports on Twitter, and we got Hashtag Sports. It's called #sports on YouTube. Those are our two main platforms that we go through. So, yeah, man, I Clayton, I can't thank you enough for the invite tonight. You know, talking Bills, I can always talk Bills. You know that. So I was happy to do it. I just hope Mookie puts the knife away next time. I'll try to have some better predictions and things will be good. I just had a great time tonight, talk with you guys, and let's enjoy our first W tomorrow, man. That's what we're going to do. We're going to enjoy our first W.
That's where I want.
Did you have a clock on you? I need to know what was that 40 time when you jumped out of that chair. That was pretty fast, man. You got some real upside there. Man.
It was faster than Austin's, I'll tell you that much.
Oh gosh. Brutal. Folks, thank you all for tuning into the show wherever you may be watching, whether it be on the Cold Front Twitter page, via Periscope, our YouTube page, or the Facebook page. And if you haven't yet, follow us on Twitter at Cold Front Report. Like us on Facebook, Cold Front Report, Buffalo Bills News. Follow us on Instagram, Cold Front Report _Bills News for the most engaging content you will find on the web. You might see a lot of people copy it. You might see a lot of people try and do it differently. No, folks, they probably saw it here first. The most engaging content for Bills Mafia to sink their teeth into because, hey, we know they're crazy and we know they can't get enough. Hey, it's going to be a good day tomorrow, fellas. It's going to be a good day. I'm going to be sitting right where I am now tomorrow for the post-game show with Jeremy Turner Montgomery and Fred Kilmartin. Be sure to tune into that. Thank you all for tuning in again. Hope you have a wonderful evening. And, hey, go Bills.
All right, Bills World. Let's do it.